Hello, welcome to this new episode of the Ali Show TV. And as you can see, I have a guest, and I have really this is a pleasure and honor to have Isabella Green on the show. Thank you, Isabella, for accepting my invitation.
Alex, thank you very much for having me on the show. It is my pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Isabella. And we're discussing for recording about the show. And of course, I want to share that her new book, Beyond the Trap, has just came out in August. We're discussing a review about that. And also you shared for the ones that don't have any of your books that you first have to get the first book and then the second one. Yes, Leaving the Trap and then Beyond the Trap is the way it makes sense. We're talking about a topic I think we're all interested in, Isabella, and it's about pets, animals, pets. How do they experience this life, spiritually speaking? There's all of these ideas that they don't have a soul. I also heard an idea that they have a common soul with Mother Earth. I heard the idea that they're prisoners or something like that, or kind of people that really had bad karma in a way, killers or something, going back to this animal experience so they can come back to a human experience. So having said all that, if you can share with us what really happens with our beloved pets. Thank you.
All right. So the focus of my work is reincarnation. So my question is always, does this type of soul reincarnate? Are they trapped in the reincarnation cycle or not? And so here's what I know about the animals and the pets. So if you believe in the concept of the cosmic soul coming into Earth plane the first time because we were recruited in here, very often we're accompanied by other cosmic souls that don't take a human body, but they take an animal body. And then that continues incarnation after incarnation. The connection continues, and our furry friends keep reincarnating and coming back into our lives, but not necessarily in the same type of body. Meaning, you might have a cat in this life, and a few years later, the cat passes, like, I don't know, 10, 20 years, how long they live, they pass. And then you get a dog, and you say, I swear the dog is doing the same thing as my cat. I'm sure it's the same soul. And I have heard that too many times to disregard that, because it's something that keeps recurring. And I wrote about that in my book, Beyond the Trap, because these spirits that come with us, very often they accompany us, or they either accompany us or they connect with us here while we're already incarnated on Earth through one way or another. And then they keep returning, but they don't return as the same type of animal. Very often it's really bizarre. Like I had a friend who was saying, they had a farm and she was very close with the animals there, and she said, oh, that baby goat, that used to be my cat, I know it for sure. Or this horse used to be my dog. And it's just, wait a minute, how did that all add up to be the same soul? So this happens, and they accompany us, and they come into different bodies, but people love it. People who have a strong relationship with their animal spirits, with their animal friends, they love this part of the reincarnation cycle, that the animals keep being recycled. Their lives are shorter, and they come back a few times throughout the human life. What I also know is that sometimes they what we consider the animal spirit or the spirit, we're all the same. It's the same fabric of spirit, and it is delivered into the animal body, or it might be an animal in a previous lifetime, but in this lifetime it might be a human being. And I don't see that that's a punishment. There is a theory or the teaching in the Hinduist tradition, in the Vedic traditions, that, for example, a human being who was very promiscuous comes back as a dog, and that is looked at as a punishment, right? But I have interacted with souls that are human beings right now, that only had animal incarnations before. I actually interacted with a woman who had only had an animal incarnation previously to becoming a human being, and there was no punishment there whatsoever. I wrote about that in Beyond the Trap. It's a fascinating story because she was a hedgehog. She was a hedgehog, and in this lifetime, she was a dentist. She was a dentist, but her entire house was like a den, and she had that face, kind of these little beady eyes and pointy nose and little hands right here, and she was all hunched back, and all she thought about was food, getting food, making food, storing food, and finding more food, and what is she gonna eat day, night, and evening. So it was fascinating, and I got to know her through or interact with her briefly through a personal connection, and she was even sharing. She said, "Well, I raised my kids, but since they were able to feed themselves, I don't really interact with them anymore." And I had that thought. I was like, "Well, that sounds like what animals do in the wild."
Exactly, in the wild,
right?
yes.
So I guess she picked up on that because she looked at me and she said, I wanted to find out why I was so different from the rest of the people. And I went to get the past life readings, and they couldn't find anything except a hedgehog that got ran over by a carriage, like, I don't know, in the 19th century or something, when they used horse carriages still.
Yes.
And now she was a woman, and she lived in California, and she had a dental practice, and it was fascinating because everything in her house was brown color. Everything was stuffed everywhere. There were like supplies everywhere. It was so. She carried that predisposition towards a certain type of behavior into the human life, and there was no punishment there. It was just, well, that's her next experience right here. Another thing about animals is, and I know that through doing private sessions, and sometimes I find passed on animal spirits attached to the human beings because they want to get out of being recycled. They want to get out of Earth plane, and so they would sometimes attach to my clients so that I can transition them properly. So I worked with a couple of wildlife spirits, the animal spirits. They were not pets. And one of these spirits shared that they felt, or he, she, it, that spirit felt as trapped and dumbed down on Earth as the human beings. Well, the spirit didn't say that, but they expressed that, can you help me get out of this recycling system here on this planet? I want to get back to where I originated from, and that was in a different galaxy altogether. I think the reason for that is because animals, all life forms, produce loosh. Loosh is the energy that sustains the matrix and sustains the reincarnation cycle and sustains the beings that are running the matrix and the reincarnation cycle. And it doesn't matter what body that soul carries. If they suffer, and animals suffer, a lot of people think they don't, but they suffer even more than a lot of human beings do. As long as they suffer, they're producing loosh. It's a different quality of loosh, but it is still for the purpose of collecting what sustains the handlers of our reality, unfortunately.
It's very unfortunate trying to explain that we are, like, in a very simplistic way, like batteries or energy creators to, as you say, the handlers of this reality. That's why I believe they set us up to fail, to suffer, to be enraged, to be in fear. If you think about it, kind of a great percentage of humanity has to be in that state. So we create this energy you well mentioned, and it fits them. Very unfortunate. A few questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
This person that was this animal in the 19th century, did he or she was in another system before that? Because I kind of get the idea and getting the notion that we're all from somewhere else. I'm not sure there's souls that originate here on Earth. So if he or she came and had that experience and then a long time being a human, were they in the astral waiting for the reincarnation cycle? All these ideas of the low astral, high astral, especially the low astral, very, very, I don't know, not really a nice thing to experience. Positive, yes. So I have of this story, I just have these questions. Was because 2 incarnations, in my experience, seems to be a very low number here on Earth. Usually it gets, in my case, I was told it's 906. So as an example, and probably they're in the thousands, and there are others that are in a few. So what do you think about that? I'm sorry.
Okay, so first of all, why did she first come in the 19th century, right? If we take that she came in from elsewhere in the 19th century when she was a hedgehog, it is possible, or I now posit, that new souls are constantly being recruited into Earth plane by the handlers, by the archons, because they need fresh loosh. The souls that have been here for centuries and centuries, they're tired. They're not producing. They don't have as much light in them anymore.
I think I'm one of them. I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
No, I get it. They don't have as much juice in them anymore, and especially the first couple of incarnations where they still remember the separation. The soul remembers that separation from the ultimate freedom of the omnipresence of their innate essence, or a different world where they lived, and then now they're on Earth, and the suffering is constant in the background because they don't even remember what is missing. As soon as you come into the physical body, most of it is wiped anyway. But so for the first couple of incarnations, they are super batteries, the supercharge for the archons. So this is how the population keeps growing, and we keep getting more and more souls recruited. And now the children come in, and wow, they have their abilities, right? For what? For 1 or 2 incarnations, they have their abilities, and they're back to our whole Earth plane dumbed down state of being. So if she came in, if she was recruited by the system to come in and, I don't know, have an experience, right? Oh, have a different experience. Earth like advertisement, right? Come to this place, have a different experience, be a hedgehog. And maybe she's sitting there somewhere in the non-physical plane going, that sounds like fun. Boom, next thing she knows, she's on Earth. And the time in between incarnations is decided by the soul itself. There is a standard amount of time that I have encountered many times with people when I'm doing past life readings, right? That usually about 3 years, and the person is back into the next incarnation. So about 3 years. But there are some souls that don't want to go, and they resist, and they're saying, no, I just want to hang out here in the astral plane because it's much lighter and it's much easier. And maybe she didn't like her hedgehog experience. She got ran over.
It's like a rest, right? Sometimes the astral.
Right. So in the astral, there is no time in the astral. So they can resist and say, look, I'm not going yet. I'm not going yet. And in human terms, in our years, it could be centuries that go in between, or it could be tens of years, 10, 20 years. But there are very few souls who do that. Most souls just kind of, like you were saying in the other episode, most souls want to have another experience. Most souls are lured in saying, hey, you were so poor in Africa, the child in Africa, you're so poor now. Now come back and be rich, right? And they're like, oh, I can't wait to do that. So 3 years later, like 3 years is an average time for the soul to chill in the astral plane. Usually everyone ends up in the upper astral. Low astral is kind of a short time period that we consider to be hell or being unpleasant or whatever. And then the angelic looking beings come and get you and say, hey, you were terrible. Now you're going to go rest a little bit in the upper astral. And then you're back to Earth 3 years from now. And some souls say, you know what, I'm going to spend some time here. I don't want to get back to Earth. That wasn't so pleasant for me. Or maybe they're not convinced. And maybe they couldn't convince her because she was a hedgehog, right? And she's like...
difficult experience, probably. I mean, we have to know the details as a hedgehog, but, it's probably you wanna wait a little bit before trying something else.
Maybe she was not... She didn't have the entanglement with desires. Like she didn't want a
Exactly.
palace, she didn't want a
A
love
car or
life,
anything,
she didn't want a partner, she didn't want anything that humans want that is offered to us for us to come back for. So she was like, you know what, I'm just gonna chill. And so, hey, they had nothing against her. I don't think the hedgehog felt guilt or not good enough, right? They're just like, keep living, keep doing their thing. And so maybe that's what prevented or kind of saved her from coming back 3 years later. So this would be my wildest guess. I didn't really analyze this, but this before, but is this right now coming through? So that sounds like the continuation of that story.
No, that sounds, and it makes a lot of sense. And as you say, on the astral plane, time it's not really experienced. It's really not important. In a way, you could be there 100 years, doesn't mean anything at all.
And you don't feel it. You don't
exactly.
feel
You
it.
don't experience it. You don't feel it. It's not a problem. You're not like, hey, I've been here 100 years. No, it probably feels like an instant. I wanted to tell you something that I believe is extremely important. It was sharing a message of, I get asked a lot, what should I do when I die? It's a really good question. And I respond, follow your heart and have an empty plate. Because if you go there upset, trying to face these archons, trying to face these handlers,
right,
I think you have to have an empty plate. There's no guilt they can find. There's nothing they can find. You are not upset with them. You wish them the best. You send them your light. And I feel that's the way you can try and break the matrix, okay? Because there's this confusion, for example, with the void, which is a beautiful thing, and the astral. And the astral, you're still in the matrix, okay?
Yeah.
It's here for the astral is it's a companion dimension to this dimension that they work you in a way for you to come back.
Right.
As you say, with the high astral, are you ready? Have you rested? Hey, let's have another reincarnation.
Yeah.
And if you're kind of hesitant, they start with the guilt. They start with the, hey, you need to go back. You need to fix things. You need to be better. You need to evolve. That's why we're talking for recording that I made a poor job on the show that I had 6 shows on your beautiful podcast with Alex Ferrari. And I probably didn't explain it properly when I said that they tried to tell us we're learning. How can we learn if we come back with our memories and we do it again and again? We're set up to fail.
Right.
We come back set up to fail. They want us to fail, and they want us to feel the guilt, and they want us to feel the need for the pleasures, for the desires, as you call them. Hey, I was poor, I died of hunger, now I want to eat everything I can eat, and I want to have a palace, and I want to have servants, and I want. So they build all these. So I think we can forget that we really want to. We want to go to the void. For me, that's the omnipresence, the void, being out there, just living this matrix, making your choices. If you want to reincarnate in another solar system, you want to have a spiritual experience, because you don't need a body to experience. You can have a body-less experience, but it's your choice. There's no judgment. There's no rush. And certainly it's not because there's a spiritual being telling you, Jesus Christ or whoever. I'm sorry to say it, to break it to everyone. When you are in the astral, I don't think you're talking to Jesus Christ. You're talking to something else. So I'm sorry I took a little bit of your time, but how can we explain that this astral experience is not the void? That is a whole different thing.
Yeah. And look, I love to hear your perspective. That's all. That's what the show is about, is sharing. So absolutely no concerns here. But you made a few good points, and I want to mention a few good points. First of all, you started from us experiencing guilt and not good enough, and the whole human condition is all about pointing us constantly in a direction how we're not good enough, right? And this is why I teach that to lighten your soul's load and to help yourself jump out of the reincarnation structure. It is very important to work on these issues now while you have an opportunity to do the inner work, clear that, see where it's coming from. We have a lot of generational conditioning that it literally started from the beginning of the human race, that humans from the beginning of the human race within this cycle of history, I would say. But the humans were created, this is all in the book of Genesis, by the way, the humans were created And we're constantly shown or constantly reminded that they were inferior to the beings that created them, that they were inferior to the gods, right? And they were dumb and not good enough and full of desires, and all of that was by design. So by design, you're in a body who is wired into the matrix, into desires, and to disconnect from the higher essence, and you're constantly being guilted for it. Oh, you are not good enough because you're not as connected as the gods, or you don't have your abilities. Well, we did have our abilities before they changed the whole human body vehicle in that third layer, or the third cycle of the human history. So I keep saying that it is very important to do the inner work, to do the process, and to clear these hooks into the matrix, these hooks that make you believe that you're not good enough, you need to do better and come back and do better, right? That's one, and that's a big one. That's a big one. You really need to have a clean slate and a clear conscious there to know that you're ready to get out, that you don't need to pay any karma, because there's no such thing as karma. Karma, or what we're being judged for, is the human condition, and there's no getting away from it. You rightly said also that as above, so below, the astral plane is set up the same way as the earth plane. It's the same system. It's a part of the same system, and the same rules apply. And the subjects that are in the astral, awaiting their next incarnation, are very much still wired into the human experience. They didn't forget their human experience. We forget the experience of the astral, but while we are in the astral, we are still wired in the experience of earth. We remember our loved ones, we remember our unfulfilled desires, we remember our guilt. It's the same thing, except you're lighter, you don't have the body for a while. So there is a big, huge difference between the non-physical space of the absolute, the fabric of every soul, the original fabric of every soul that we call the void or the omnipresence. I now started calling it the true void, because the simulation or the matrix actually has the fake void too.
Oh, it does.
So yeah, read my book, Beyond the Trap. So when we are in the true void, we are free from any pressure, from any guilt, from any, because the soul within itself is pure. It doesn't need evolution. It doesn't need experiences. Everything is already known within that state of being, and you are not recycled by someone else's design. If you decide that you've rested, you've stayed in the state of the void long enough, and then there's a tiny part of you that wants to have a different experience somewhere else, you can do that, and it's your own choice by the choice of that aspect. But you're not going to be Alex or Isabella or Joe Schmo. You're not going to be any of that. You clear all that. The entire human experience is gone. The matrix, the entanglement with the matrix, the everything that comes with the physicality of our experience, all of that is gone. And a lot of people like physicality of our experience. A lot of people enjoy being on earth, and by all means, please stay. But those who feel that that they don't want to be batteries for the system that is just recycling them for its own benefit, there is a way out. And I teach that, and I share that way out. And by the way, I'm actually in spring, I think that's in March 2025, I am teaching the online class, teaching the people to learn how to differentiate, how to know the difference between the void energy, the state of the void, the state of omnipresence, and the astral, and the fake void, the fake presentation of the void. And because once people start practicing the techniques that I share, they start experiencing, they start having non-physical or otherworldly experiences, but most of them are in the astral, because astral is very strong around this planet. All right. And well, I shouldn't even say around the planet, it's a part of the system. It's just the non-physical representation of the system. So a lot of people send me questions. A lot of people in my group, I have a Facebook group that's called Exiting Reincarnation. A lot of people write and say, oh, I had this incredible mystical experience. Was that the void? Yeah, no. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm reading what they're sharing, and I can tell that was still within the astral. As beautiful as these experiences were, it's still within the astral, and astral produces astral as a if we take the concept that that's a simulation that reads your subconscious and knows what it is that stimulates you the most, and it produces that for you. Astral is very flexible. It can be changed by our consciousness, so you can be having the most incredible experiences right there, in line with the beliefs that the human mind has. So I'm teaching the class on learning how to differentiate between the true void, the true freedom, and still playing in the astral, which is a lot of fun, but it's not what those who want to get out of the system should be aiming for.
Yes, thank you. By the way, I want to clarify to all the viewers that all the links to everything that Isabel is sharing are going to be right there in the bottom in the video description. So you can just easily click on it. And for sure, I think there are going to be many takers on that class. I'm going to be one for sure. I'm going to ask you after recording for the details. Yes, one thing I say all the time is that we're dealing with chess players, okay? There's fake within the fake within the fake. So really, you really have to think 4 or 5 steps ahead in a way to try to beat them. I want to share my personal own story. I do intend to break the matrix when I transcend as Alex. I kind of learned my own story, and that's why I want to leave, because I've been on Earth too much, and I think I did my share for Earth. There's also this idea, as you shared with Alex Ferrari, that you came with a call of help also. They use that, right? They were asking for help on Earth. Am I correct on that? So you came here for that, and then you are kind of trapped in the... Sorry, go ahead.
Before you go, that's a recruitment program.
Yes.
That's not real, because
yes, I know.
Only remember that you're here to help within your first incarnation, maybe a little bit of that in the second, and then you're wiped, and then you're just running around having this feeling that you're not fulfilling something, but you don't know what it is because you've been wiped too many times. You know, like Men in Black. Look at this.
It is like it is the way.
Right.
It is that way, and that's why I feel totally comfortable with my experience on Earth, and I'm gonna try to have a clean slate when I go. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it, but I'm at peace. So this is not something you have to force. I want to share a very little story. One of the things I do on my channel, and I started very small out there on another platform called BitChute. And what I do is that I encourage viewers to send me emails. And if they feel I can help them with anything, with a question or anything, I'll try my best. So I got a person that had stage 4 cancer. He was really upset. And he told me, what should I do? You talk a lot about reincarnation. I shouldn't go to the light. I said, there's not a process. Okay. You said something very important. They use your own energy. I don't know how they do it. But if you are a believer in Jesus Christ, which I'm not saying didn't exist, that's not the point. But if you are into that, if you think he's your savior, he's going to save you in the astral, Jesus Christ is going to show up. They're going to also show up family members that have... Go ahead, sorry.
But let's mention, because this is very important to mention right now. It's not going to be Jesus Christ that shows up for you.
No,
it's going to be an archon. It's going to be a handler that is posing as that. A lot of people are confused. They think that it is the true Jesus they're talking to, but it is just either a projection, if it's a simulation, or it's a being that is posing as that figure that you believe. So if you believe in Jesus Christ with your whole heart, and he did exist, and there is that soul out there, but if you believe in that soul with all your might, you're going to see the representation of that in the afterlife. It's very important to mention that it's not the real thing, it's the representation, it's a fake projection of it. All right, go ahead, continue. Sorry.
No worries. I didn't explain that, and you're right. I was intending that it's not. If you think of or love Jesus Christ, something appearing to be Jesus Christ
Mhm.
is gonna come to you. If it's the Prophet Muhammad, you're a Muslim, it's gonna be him. Buddha, and Master Buddha and everything. I even think they go all the way that if someone non-religious is very important to you, it's gonna show up there. Okay.
Yeah.
They really gonna use your own information you are sharing
Yeah.
against you. Okay. So that's why for me, intuitively, and I ask my intuition and I depend a lot on that. And I try to connect really with my own intuition, which I believe is our connection to outside the matrix, or connection to the void, that you have to have a clean slate. I'm not going to give you anything. And I'm not upset. That's why going back to the story of this person, I said, the first thing you must do is stop being so upset that you have stage 4 cancer and you're probably going to die, because death is not what you believe. Death is, first of all, it's not the end. It's just a transition. You're probably going to go somewhere else. I don't mean to judge you, but by the way, you're probably going to be in the astral for a while, and you're probably going to reincarnate because you're so enraged and so upset. So if you want me to give you my best advice to you, is try to be at peace, make peace with your family. If you have any peace to make, just be at peace and try to have a peaceful passing. Okay. And I think that's going to set you up for the chance, because I think it's a lifelong work.
Yeah.
I'm totally confident you are going to break the astral when you are not here anymore. You have made a lifelong work. Kind of at the end, you try to attach to that idea. I think it's going to be difficult, but hey, I believe there's no right way. It's just we try. It's such a difficult spell, confusion. They are chess players. It's going to be, I think there's going to be like 3 or 4 roadblocks. It's a metaphor, until they allow you to just go, because you don't serve us anymore. At the end, we are, as you say, they need this energy from us. And the moment we are not going to be racial, we're not going to be in fear, the moment we're not going to participate in this division, in this hating, we don't serve them anymore. And that's why they constantly have to be recruiting from the outside the matrix. So they kind of groom us into being this divisive person. Okay. So, sorry, go ahead,
I would
please.
like to comment on that too. That's a great point. But I would like to add to that point, right?
Thank you.
It is very important also to let go of the state of the victim. The person that you are describing, who was angry because he felt helpless, like he could do nothing about this, and that state of helplessness is helplessness, and behind helplessness is fear, and that usually comes out as anger when the person is feeling completely helpless. It makes them very angry, and there is a fear behind it. And the fear is stronger when we feel that we're a victim of something that's bigger than us, right? And what I teach, what I encourage people to do is take their own power in their own hands. Like, oh, they make us do this. They make us reincarnate. They use us. They this and that, right? That all exists, but you can actually take your own power back and, like you said, step out of the game. Stop producing loosh. Start doing the practices that teach you to get out of the astral, out of the whole matrix system, straight into the fabric of reality. One experience within the absolute, and you're going to be a changed person. You will know how much freedom and power your soul has, and you no longer will identify with the body. All right. But so letting go of victim mentality to the forces that appear to be stronger than us. This is what they teach us. This is what they want us to believe here on earth, that we're victims to certain powers that are stronger than us. There is nothing stronger than your own inner willpower, than your own inner state of being that fabric of your essence. And once you've reconnected with it, all of that you can see through the game, and you're no longer subject to that game. This opens the door into the freedom. So it's very important to remember that even if you feel disempowered and helpless, you can take your power back and choose your state of being, choose your emotions, choose what you pay attention to, what you don't. Choose the inner state of being that is connected to the higher essence of yourself. And then the physical experience is not so bad anymore, and you're no longer a victim to forces that appear to be stronger than yourself. They cannot control you. Handlers, archangels, angels, archons, whatever you want to call it, they cannot control you if you have taken your power back. Government and God knows, like the whole list goes on, and it's all interconnected. The reptilians, it's all the same structure, and they cannot control you if you have taken your power back. It literally is just going to roll off of your shoulders. And in that way, you actually have experienced your freedom before passing. And the moment of passing is very much going to be matched to your vibrational state. If you're in vibration of fear, you're going to die in fear. If you're in vibration of suffering and pain, you're going to die in pain and suffering. If you're in the state of vibration of peace, you're going to close your eyes and float out, and that's that. And it's going to be peaceful passing. And if you train yourself to get out of the matrix and the astral plane, something that I teach of how to do this, go straight into the omnipresence. You can just do that at the moment of passing, and then you know that all you're letting go of is the physical body that is a part of the matrix system. But if you want to break out of the matrix, you learn how to do this, you develop that skill, and at the moment the body finally lets go of you, you are free now. So this is a really strong point. I think it's very important to know these things.
Thank you. And I do agree, and I talk a lot about the victim state, that we're not victims, and as unfortunate as it may sound. And I also believe it's another chess play, another implanted notion of the system, because they want to place the saviors. Okay, they want to place something outside us, so we don't go within. So they put the savior there, and for it to be saviors, they have to be culprits. The savior saves from the culprits. And if there are culprits, I'm a victim of the culprits. So it's a real triangle there. And I share the idea, the notion, the suggestion. We should break from all of that. Okay. And a lot of the plans of this system, and I talk about these organizations and these things. And I have a lot of friends that are, they have another, for example, sexual preference. And I say, you don't see that by them profiling you in a way, LGBT or whatever it is right now, they're making you a victim, and you're becoming a victim. You are the same as me. I don't care what you like. You don't care what I like. We're not victims, okay? We have this idea, people of different races, people from other countries. We have this idea that we don't understand it's a chess play, that they want us to believe that we are victims and there's a culprit, because they want us to hate someone also. And they don't want us to go within, because we have to seek a savior to get us out from this victim state. We are the real saviors, each other. We connect, as you say, to our higher self, and we're going to be fine. Of course, I agree with you. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Even within the New Age community, there are these theories that are circulating, like, oh, the aliens are dismantling, putting apart the whole reincarnation system. Oh, they're going to come and take us in ships and save us all. We just have to sit like this and wait for the saviors, be they aliens or their higher dimensional beings or a new president, or they're going to show up and they're going to make everything right. And you know what it does? It makes people passive. It makes people sit there and wait for someone else to take care of things for them. And it takes your power away. I wrote in my book, Beyond the Trap, that I would be very happy to see as I pass and get out of my body and see that, whoa, the whole system is gone because the aliens did it. That would be fantastic. But I certainly am not waiting till that moment. I'm going to be prepared just in case it's another hoax, it's another talk, it's another idea to keep humanity passive. That's very, very important right there. Also, take your power in your own hands, train yourself. If you find out that the system got dismantled by the time you pass it, hallelujah, fantastic. But I highly doubt it. I see that as the same part of, oh, put all your power into this person, put all your power into this new system, put all your power into whatever, and then sit passively and do nothing about it. And this is what makes it easy for the few to control the many. And we don't want to be that. We want to find the soul freedom. We want to liberate ourselves, and we want to have a choice. And the choice comes from connecting and finding, building that within yourself and taking your power back. Yeah.
Exactly. We're incredibly powerful, more than we know. And the kind of the mission statement on my channel is discover who you are. I mean, because I say you go and look in a mirror, you're seeing a tiny part of you. You are so much more. And discovering your story for me is something that gives you such a peace. Some people say that if you know about past lives and who you are and, star systems and all of these things, it gives you a lot of anxiety. For me, it's the opposite. It gives you a lot of peace to understand really the dimensions of what you have been. And kind of, I'm saying it's not possible, maybe 100%, but understanding this kind of a game and of soul games, how you play it, that's a lot to say. And understanding the rules helps you a long way in trying to have a winning play, okay? So that's why I say prepare for that, but not because you don't want to live. Live every day as your last. Live every day with all your power, but be prepared for that. And as you say, it takes a lot of work. And if they say I've heard what you mentioned a lot, and even a little bit worse than that from QAnon, that kind of stuff, that there are going to be trials and so I say it's really an advanced civilization gonna come, and that's the way they're gonna come, like almost Star Wars, like they're gonna come with their ships and shooting like laser guns and stuff like that. Not really. Okay, I think other civilizations have, for example, transcended violence, have transcended division, and have transcended, have understood the notion that we unite and we don't fight. We transcend violence. You leave violence behind. And for me to hear those notions that they're going to come and basically dismantle this system and set up a new system doesn't work that way. Sorry, go ahead. Do you want to say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the whole thing about I'm in this body, I'm in that body, I transmuted from this body to the next body. It's all about the body. The body has sexual preferences. The body has desires. The body has, or the mind has concern about what the body is doing or what it looks like. But if we take the entire community or the entire Earth population into the state of the true void for one moment, one time for one moment, all of that is going to become irrelevant because you experience the true essence of yourself that encompasses everything. And then that great peace comes in, and then there is the great fulfillment is there. And there is no more concern about what your body looks like. There's no more fixation on what your body is doing because you have experienced the true essence of yourself that is the bigger picture. The tiny part right here, the tiny particle vibrating in density of this holographic reality, if you wish. That's the body, and that is minute, and that means nothing. So if we could take the whole population into the state of the true void for a moment, one time, we would have an entirely different civilization here of people who live in peace and know that everything is in oneness, that we are all in that oneness. I guess that's called in the New Age community Christ consciousness. I'm not speaking out of my better parts. I'm speaking about my behind, right? I'm not speaking about out of that. I'm speaking from experience. I have been experiencing the state of the true void for close to 9 years now, 10 years now, regularly. The first time changed my entire perspective on the whole human reality. And that's what it does. And now I teach the practices that take people there. And there is so much in even in the mystical traditions and spiritual traditions and yogic traditions. Oh, don't teach these, don't give these practices to the common people because it's dangerous. What is it dangerous to? It's dangerous to the system, because the system is going to lose the players to feed the system, because you become calm and you become peaceful and you no longer chasing after ridiculous stuff that they make us chase on this planet, because that ridiculous stuff supports the matrix system, right? So I love this idea. Let's take the whole population for one moment, one time, into the true void and see that Earth ascends. We're like working on ascension of the planet. The Earth will ascend instantly if that was possible. So
Yes, I agree with you completely. The Earth will ascend when we all ascend. Okay, when we really go inside to discover and raise. I also, some people a lot, I know, I guess why they call me a lot New Age and stuff like that. And I say, no, I'm not New Age, I'm not nothing. I mean, really my point is there's no right or wrong way. And even if you follow a certain protocol and crystals and that kind of stuff, if you really haven't gone within, you're still kind of going about it differently, okay? And that's why I believe this change, I do believe a change for Earth is coming. I also heard the theories that we're all living, and that's how Earth is going to kind of reboot and go into this golden age, and it's going to kind of reboot also humanity. But if there's a new Earth coming, a lot of people ask, am I going to keep my house? I'm going to take my car, my bank account? And you're not getting it. It's going to be different. And we really have to leave those things behind. We have to have our needs, not our desires, because what creates all of this system is that desire competition-based notion that, hey, I'm doing well, so I don't care if a child is dying in Africa. Okay? And if we are part of the same thing, it's like you having your body and one of your arms almost decaying and almost dying, but the rest of the body is fine, so I don't really care. No. We think we're separate things, but we really have to understand we're really all the same. And we're basically having this notion, we're having a different experience. And when we unite, I think it's when we unite from our hearts and we all change, because the only person you can change is yourself, okay?
yeah.
The only person you can really change is yourself. It's the only one you have control. So if you do your part by changing yourself, the world is going to change. But you are totally right. If for some reason we could take humanity to the void for 1 second, game over. Game over.
Yeah,
Game over.
for sure.
Yes.
And what you're saying is very scary to the majority of the population. What do you mean I have to give up my car, my house, and my bank account? Oh my God, right? So they freak out and they look at spiritual practices as something terrifying, something that's going to take away all that, right? And that's a mistake, and that's a misrepresentation that, by the way, the system uses very strongly to make people stay away from spiritual practices. But I see here that it's confusing the chicken with the egg, confusing the cause with the outcome. The truth is, you don't have to give up your material desires. No one can do this by force. I mean, look how many scandals are there, sexual harassment scandals and financial scandals with the so-called spiritual teachers, because they try to repress their desires, and it works for a short period of time, but then boom, and like comes out even stronger, because you cannot repress this. This is what the body is wired to do. This is what we're conditioned to do. We've been conditioned to do this for centuries. And when people go to the ashrams and monasteries and then leave because they want to get married, they want to have sex, and they can't handle it. So it's the other way around. Have all you want to have. Work towards it all you want. But if you engage in the spiritual practices and you end up in the true void, it will just all dry up and fall off by itself. You will not lose your house. You will keep doing whatever you need to do to maintain yourself where you want to maintain yourself within the material world. But it's not going to be the only and the most important fixation that now kind of runs the world. So I say that first comes the spiritual experience, and then comes the loosening of the entanglement with the material possessions or physical desires. By default, naturally, you don't have to force anything. People are terrified. Those who are terrified that they have to lose all this to be spiritual, they're not ready. They're so attached to this. Let them be. But if they were to go and have a spiritual experience, that attachment just loosens naturally. So there was a story, I don't remember which guru, there's a story from the Hindu tradition, from the yogic tradition, that a disciple or a student comes to a guru and says, Guruji, I like to drink, I like to party. Can I keep partying if I am spiritual? The Guruji says, sure, you can. Oh, and I love to have sex, so can I keep having sex if I'm spiritual with you? Sure, you can. And I love to buy all this stuff. I'm a consumer, this and that. Can I keep doing that? Yeah, sure, you can. And then the student says, how come? We're taught that we have to let all that go to be good, to be spiritual. And the guru says, just start the practices and all of that will let go by itself. So that's a transition. That's the change of mind, change of that spiritual, change of mind, change of state of being that takes you into a whole different octave of experience, of the human experience.
Nothing is by force. Nothing is through the mind, or what. I guess what I'm trying to say, I probably misrepresented, was that there's this notion we want both of best worlds. So we want this reality to stay the same, but we are kind of attached to this idea of, hey, this spiritual thing sounds okay. And just a little story that a friend, she used to eat meat regularly, like most people, I guess. And she was in a meat restaurant. She's also in a kind of in a spiritual search or anything.
Right.
She's on her way. Okay. So she was in this restaurant and suddenly she felt ill and she felt a rejection to meal. She actually had to even go to the restroom and stuff like that to relieve herself. Right. And she hasn't eaten meat since then. But it's not a forced thing. Yeah. It's not a mental thing. It's not that meat is not good for me. It's not that the animals suffer. It's not that I want to be a vegan. It's that something inside. I recall from your podcast with Alex Ferrari that something he mentioned about a Ferrari or something like that. He said, if someone gives me a Ferrari or something, I'll probably just make a raffle or give it to someone, sell it, and donate the money, because he doesn't feel that anymore. Okay. Yeah. And that's we have to get to that point where it's gonna come natural. You cannot force it, and it's gonna fix on its own. Okay. Yeah. That these desires are not important to you anymore because you are in a different level. Okay. But you didn't force your way there. It's not training or anything like that. it's something very difficult to explain. It's really that you are not into that. And I'm not saying I'm perfect or I'm a saint or anything, but I'm not into this anymore. Okay, that's why I say I'm gonna try for this to be my last experience here on Earth. And apparently also I've come back twice. I mean, I've come here twice. I've left once and then came back. And so I feel it's enough for me. Okay, I'm not saying it's wrong, as you say. It's
Yeah.
perfect. This is a great life in a way. Okay, and you don't have. I don't hate it. It's not that. It's just for me. I'm into something else now.
Yeah.
So one question, because we're really getting there in time, and I would like
Yeah.
also to speak about the voidacademy.net and the other things you do. Just one final quick question. When we go to the void, and you say we can choose to have our experiences or we can choose to be there, is there a point that we just stay there forever? That we say no more experiences, physical or not, body or not, I just want to be here and stay here forever?
Well, there is no Alex in the void. It's the fabric of everything. So everything already exists, and all awareness is already there. You're not feeling love, you are being love. You're not having thoughts, you're being knowledge, you're being awareness. And so technically, that is the best state of being ever. If anyone experienced it, or those who did experience it, some people experience it through the near-death experiences. Those who don't freak out, but actually allow themselves to feel that dazzling darkness. I read that in David Icke's book, the dazzling darkness. They know that that is the most complete, content state of consciousness. And I can say you will ever be, because you're not there. But at the same time, everything is already there. I personally would prefer to just stay in that state and not take any other experiences. The part of the field of omnipresence that decides or that takes on another experience is a tiny, tiny part that is going to have an experience somewhere else. And how that's decided, I cannot explain, because I'm not that consciousness right now in my brain. But for me personally, if I were to, well, I know I'm going there, and I'm not there. I'm going into that state, out of the matrix, and I want to stay in that state forever. Like experiences, information, anything we collect through experiences, it's all there. So why do it even, right? But there are some, I guess, some minds that ask and say, hey, you know, I want to have an experience in like in a different galaxy. I want to have an experience in a different constellation, as a different race, non-physical light being or whatever. Yeah, you can, but it's going to be, once again, a tiny part of the void energy that will not remember that it was Isabella, it was Alex, that will just have a different experience. How that's orchestrated at this present moment, I cannot explain.
Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. Could you tell us a little bit in ending about the voidacademy.net and the other things you do? And by the way, as I said already, everything is going to be out there in the video description. So
Right.
you just viewers just need to click on it.
All right. So my first book, Leaving the Trap, opens the door into the subject, and that came out last year. And this year, I released the second book that continues on the subject, goes deeper, and we're talking about the subject of exiting reincarnation. That these both books are on Amazon, and you can get a direct link underneath this video or on my website, that is thevoidacademy.net. And on that platform, thevoidacademy.net, I have an online course that offers you training for exiting reincarnation. I also am starting to teach online classes that support that training. All of that is interconnected with the books. The second book I wrote as the continuation to support people who took the course. The course is pre-recorded, so you can purchase it and then you can train at home and then take my online classes to have your questions answered. I have 3 online classes coming up. One is in November, and that's about side effects of waking up your energy, your rocket fuel, to get yourself out of the matrix system. And then I plan to continue teaching these more or less once a month. And I also have 2 in-person workshops, events, where it's going to be me and other practitioners that we will generate that environment where we can share within the like-minded community. And I will also teach during these events. One is coming up in January. The next one is in June. You can get all of this information on thevoidacademy.net. And I work really hard to put everything I know onto that platform, to offer everything that I know, so that anyone who is serious about training to get out of the matrix and the reincarnation cycle can utilize these resources and actually prepare themselves, give themselves a choice. So I hope that all of you, those who are interested, will find these resources on my website, thevoidacademy.net.
Thank you very much. I'm going to include everything on the video description as well, direct links to both books and, of course, thevoidacademy.net and everything you share with me. And that you already shared, by the way. I'm just going to get it from there. And thank you very much, Isabella. This has been a great chat. This is going to be one of the few that is going to come out on both channels, the Alex Show TV and El Show the Alex.tv, the Spanish, more Latin channel. We are viewed in Mexico, Argentina, Spain, and other countries. So, of course, with subtitles for Spanish viewers that don't know English. It's not the ideal way, but this for me is 1, extremely important information, and 2, it has been such a joy to have you. I feel so privileged. Thank you for accepting my invitation. And really, thank you. I don't know if you have anything more in closing.
I am complete. I just want to thank you for inviting me and for allowing me to share what I currently know. And we are all work in progress, I would say. You will see that from my books. In the first book, I just kind of stepped into the subject. In the second book, I feel much stronger. There's much more information and supporting information. And I'm offering that now. And maybe in a year, there'll be even more, because I'm already writing the third book. So the human consciousness is awakening into this knowledge. There's more and more interest in this subject, and we are working our way into the liberation of humanity. And this is what I'm here to do. And thank you for having me on your show. It is a pleasure and an honor.
Yes, same here. Same here. It's been a pleasure and honor. And if I can add anything to that, is my suggestion that I always do, that everything goes through you. You are connected to your higher self. You are connected to the universe. So all of this is, you're going to enjoy it much more as you take this information and then kind of go inside. Believe me, it's going to be beautiful and it's going to resonate. I wouldn't share it if I'm not totally convinced this is the way to go. And it's such valuable information. Thank you, Isabella, very much.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, you too. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you for making it to this part of the video. This is my favorite part. This is where I suggest to you that you discover your true self. You are not what you have been groomed to believe. You are this incredible being without limits that has eternal life, amazing strength, infinite wisdom, and a big, beautiful heart. All your limits are always self-imposed. Your best version in this reality is inside you. Your only mission on this life is to become a beacon of love and to serve others. This version is ready to be discovered today. How do you discover your true self? The discovery process is a personal one. No one can do it for you. Dedicate 5 minutes a day to talk to the universe. Simply ask, who am I? Where do I come from? What is my purpose? You will start getting signs, breakthroughs, and signals. You will notice how your notions about this reality start disappearing. No more hierarchies, no more competition, no more complaining, no more depending on others. Discovering your true self equals to real freedom. Your self-imposed limits will fall and you will be ready to understand this reality, but you must be patient to allow others to wake up at their time through their own free will. That will be really soon, you will see, and that will set up a new world. As you work towards your best version, you will notice how all emotions don't serve you anymore. Hate, fear, rage, pride, loss, envy, violence, justice through violence, judgment of others, and other emotions will disappear from your mind and heart. You will understand those emotions serve only your egoic mind and are not you. Please try to be understanding of others that don't think or feel like you. Everyone has a process. No one is right or wrong. We're all just different. Don't be concerned about being right, ever. Don't allow pride preventing you from patching things up with family and friends. It is very important you enjoy this life with your loved ones. Put in the work to patch things up and leave it to others to decide. Thank you very much for watching. Please share, like, and subscribe. If you have any comments or suggestions, please use the comment section below. For private questions, conversations, and if you would like to appear on the show, please email me at hey@thealexshow.tv. Thank you again. Please don't forget to visit our website, www.thealexshow.tv. By giving me your time, you honor me. Have a very, very, very nice day.